Hey, welcome to On the Record with Chaii, a Play It Strange podcast. I'm Chaii, artist, producer, creative director, and a Play It Strange alumni. We're here to unpack different corners of the music industry, one step at a time. Let's go. Joining us on this episode is Hana Mereraiha. From working alongside Dame Hinewehi Mohi to rewriting chart-topping songs in Te Reo Maori to translating Disney Pixar's Te Reo version of Moana 2, The Lion King, Coco and Encanto, she's a Taonga in the Waiata Reo space. Here's our chat with Hana.
Kia ora, tēnā koe Chaii, o tira tēnā tātou.
So you started in Waiata Reo world working with Hinewehi Mohi on Waiata anthems. Tell us about how you met and started working together.
Well, it was actually quite random. I just received a phone call one day and it was Auntie Hinewehi, and she goes, kia ora, darling, do you listen to hip-hop music? Do you like hip-hop music? Was the question. Do you like hip-hop music? And I was like, oh, yes, I do. This is so random. And she goes, oh, so yeah, you're into rap and stuff? And I was like, well, yes, I am. And then that was the icebreaker, really. Cool. So she had a gig lined up with an artist called Mellow Downs.
Oh, I know Mellow.
Yes, so Mellow was the very first artist here in Tāmaki that I collaborated with. And so that was the beginning of it, really. So it was choice. We met up. He was, real kickback, as you know, he is his name. And we just talked a little bit about his waiata, which was, the ingoa Maori is pai. And he was talking a little bit about the background behind that waiata, and we sort of just connected and that kind of set a really good precedence actually for working with other artists in this space. Because it's really important to make those connections, talk about the waiata, how the waiata came about, what our different musical influences are, and just to kind of,
two worlds coming
together.
That smoothly goes into my next question. What's the process of translating a song from English to Te Reo?
That's the very first thing is establishing a hononga or a connection with the artist. So getting to know their background, getting to know what it is that they're passionate about, what it is that makes them tick, what it is that inspires them, what it is that makes them, all of those feels, all of the things that we experience as tangata, as human. Really, really important, because with waiata, you pour a lot of your emotion and a lot of your psyche, your narrative, a lot of yourself into those waiata. And so in order to do justice to the lyric, it's really important to understand the psyche of the person behind the lyrics. That was my rautaki anyway. Yeah. And because the genre with Mellow was rap music, there was a lot of counting of syllables, and it was quite a mathematical process. So that was the very first thing, was understanding the musical layout of the waiata, understanding the lyrics, and then amalgamating the two in a way that could be presented in a very Maori, using our own worldviews and language that actually isn't a direct translation of the English.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But rather a translation of the essence of the waiata, or the wairua of the waiata.
I feel like, would there be words that are a lot more, will say the emotion a lot more in Te Reo than in English, where you feel like that word will, does that happen often, where you're just like, oh, there's actually a few ways I can go about this?
Yeah.
Whereas there might be less ways in English?
Well, I think with any language, you speak Iranian, and we were just talking about the thinking, the feelings and the thinking that is in language itself. So there are worldviews, and there are values, and there are principles, and there's a whole culture. There's a whole universe, in fact, in the language, in Te Reo Māori, that doesn't exist actually in English. And whilst the two coexist and they can transfer, there are aspects of languages that obviously can work well together, but there are distinct features of language, particularly with regards to worldviews, that are unique to Māori. So of course, when it comes to expressing through music, you're not gonna get another language that's gonna be able to express it in quite the same way.
Which is so interesting. It's like you're getting this one like unique, like which mellow down sort of like it's just bringing the Waiata to life in a different feel, different whole universe, different world, which is like so beautiful. Like you have recently done a writing camp with various Maori and Pacifica artists and producers. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Kokori was a 3-day wānanga. We had artists from all different backgrounds, of course Indigenous Māori, and we had an international guest artist from Tahiti, which was really awesome. And then we had our 5 producers, Māori producers, Rory Kings, Seth Ray as well, and Noema Te Hau. So we had a bit of
the gang.
we had the gang come together. It was just so much fun, and it was it was done over Easter weekend, and I don't know if you remember, but it was super stormy and like chaotic. And I believe we were in the moon phase of tamatea, which was another aspect of the wānanga that we delved into, which the alignment of music to our taiao and our in particular our lunar calendar. It was so kokouri is the male tui, and of course kokotea is the female, so they go hand in hand, and that was the theme that was that kind of the overarching theme of the camp. And so all of the waiata, albeit from different genres and from different artists and different writing styles, there was a connecting kaupapa that sort of made the 3-part EP release cohesive.
Wow, that'd be so beautiful, because it would be like set in a world, that's what bringing all these like how often can you bring all the different types of genres, everything, people writing together,
which is why we were dead set on releasing them together, because traditionally with song hubs and things like that, they get released as singles, and sometimes not at all.
They don't come out, unfortunately.
Exactly.
So I'm so glad.
So this was a way to actually go,
good.
Hang on, no, we're not going to be letting anything go to waste here, i te whānau. We're going to come in with a kaupapa and with this intention and purpose.
Don't get in your heads.
Just do the mahi, get it done.
We need you at every writing
release
camp,
it
just
straight away.
People, man.
So it was a bit of a crazy journey really, because that was in April, and we've just released the last EP. Last weekend, last Friday. So Koko Uria Te Whānau, there's 3 EPs. Hoata is the first one. Whiro is the second one, and Mutu Whenua is the third one. And there's all sorts, from country to jazz to
the most amazing musicians and writers.
Hip hop to soul to R&B. Just eat your heart out, Te Whānau.
Those names you mentioned, top tier.
We're
international. So good.
Oh yes, so now our international artist, she wrote a lullaby actually, and it was the first waiata that we know of that is actually mixed Maori and Tahitian.
What?
Yeah,
so that's crazy. That's first in history.
Well, yes, I think
wild.
so.
It would,
and paying homage also to our Polynesian whakapapa, our roots all the way back to Rangiatea, Tapu Tapu Aotea, which is where my tupuna come from, the migration through Polynesia. So to be able to go back to those hononga and to create something that really brings those two worlds back together was just spectacular.
In the most beautiful way. Music, universal language.
Cool, yeah.
Did you grow up in a Reo Maori speaking household? Where did your journey in Te Ao Maori begin?
Yeah, so my mother made a very conscious decision when she was happy with my older brother to raise us children in a Maori speaking home. And so whilst she was part of the generation of where our mātua experience language loss and urbanisation through the 50s all the way to the 80s when I was born, and then there was this whole push towards mana motuhake in the space of education. We had the Maori petition, we had Kohanga Reo, kura kaupapa, whare kura, and all of the rest of it. And I owe my the fact that I was afforded my reo to all of those tipuna, those mumu reo, those people, great people, amazing people in Te Ao Māori. And in my whakapapa as well, my immediate whānau. So you had, some activism in the macro level, but also it was really important in the micro level. So in my own whānau, that my mother made the conscious decision to raise us in Te Reo Māori. That's where it started for me. Yep. Started right in the kōpū, in her womb. So when I was born, she decided to create, we were really lucky, she created a language nest in our home. So we had a home-based kohanga reo in Kirikiriroa in Hamilton called Te Amo Kura. And so she not only raised her own babies in Te Reo Māori, but she raised the community of babies in Te Reo Māori. And actually, if you look at where those babies are now, so that was in the 90s, I was born in the late 80s, so through the 90s, we had our kohanga at home. And those tamariki, where they are now, they're just doing amazing things and very strong in both Te Reo Māori and in English. So that's the thing, it's really, really important for our mātua out there, for parents out there who are raising young ones to consider, Māori immersion, because the outcomes of that kind of dedication and commitment to the language is just incredible for children, because they come out at the other end with, being proficient in 2 languages, with also bearing in mind the opportunity to learn other languages. So,
opens up that side of your mind.
So, I speak Spanish as well as a 3rd language. Yeah. And so my real...
But that's where it comes. It opened up the...
Well, yes,
your mind to...
Yeah, it gives you that sense of, and this is like a sort of a jargony, like linguistic term, but that meta-linguistic awareness where you can think broadly. You're not restricted to one worldview, one, 2D kind of view of the world. The more languages the more expansive your thinking is.
It's hard to describe. I don't know exactly what you mean. When there's that extra there's this depth of I guess I don't know the feeling of not having 2 languages. But then when I do think about it, I'm like, if it was just one language, I would be missing this whole not just language, culture, way of thinking, words that you could express in certain ways where you can't. And maybe in one language. So it's just it's the biggest, the more, the better.
That's exactly right. And that sense of loss that a lot of our whānau experience, that is due to that intergenerational language trauma through the loss over the generations, through the disruption of the transmission of language from one generation to the next. So through kaupapa like Waiata anthems, like the Disney Reo Māori and the the DreamWorks doing the translation into Shrek. Shrek Reo Māori from English to Māori. That is really what it is. It normalises the language, puts it into domains where our babies have access to their language, to their culture, to their values, and where they can see themselves reflected in the world around them, and not just in spaces that have traditionally been the Māori. Do you know what I mean?
It's more relatable,
it's just
represented,
more
represented, and it's to that, as it should be.
Yeah.
And in saying that, you are the person that has translated Pixar, Coco, Moana to The Lion King.
along with
was-
Rob. So there was so we did Lion King. We did then we
There's a
went
list.
into Frozen. Then we went to Coco,
Frozen is-
Encanto, and then Moana too. So how we got involved with that was through Rob and Salah. Yeah, me too. Rob is amazing. He got Pere and I involved because Rob and Salah basically did the Moana 1 themselves, and they did it in like something ridiculous, like a month or two, and then had to release, and it was like pretty full on. So for the next one, which was Lion King, he was like, nah, I'm getting a team involved here. So we were really lucky to be called in to be a part of the music team. And under his guidance, his and Silla's guidance, we were able to really fine-tune some of those ideas around the amalgamation of word and, you know, how our words carry energy, they carry depth and breadth of meaning, but marrying that up with melody. And he was very much about getting that perfect alignment of lyric and melody, and he called that perfect alignment sonic pop.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, right?
Yeah.
Sonically getting it
perfect, so that the feeling that you get from the word, the meaning is aligned with the pitch and the frequency of the actual music. And so I'll just say Frozen was probably the hardest because it was like lyrically quite heavy and musically genius, of course, because
more complex as well. Yeah.
But complex.
Yeah.
Whereas Coco was really lovely. It was just ngāwari. The music was so easy for us to be able to put our beautiful poetic reo to, without it sounding skits, you know, like a bit here, there, and
Did you like the
everywhere.
challenge though? Was it like,
I love
was
the
it
challenge.
Like, oh my God, I'm
I
pushing
love
myself to places like that,
Yeah.
you know, that you might have not pushed yourself before? And
Yeah. So, like, for example, Let It Go, it would have been the sort of what we call huarahi ariari, or the what do you call it? The most, the easiest way to translate it would have been to go tukuna, which is your kind of the obvious translation for let it go. It's almost quite literal. But and this is where the conversations in the wānanga were really important with Rob and Silla and Pere, was that we wanted to position the idea within a Maori context. And so when we talk about let it go, it's not a literal just let it go. It's an actual, so that's why we brought in the word wairea, for example, because that was more of a cleansing kind of let it go. So, and which changed the worldview of it through something as simple as considering those different words and contexts. So that's one example of bringing in our own values and worldviews.
And it's like just, you know, I guess taking the whole song into consideration of just like the message of it, and then having to be like, okay, cool, we can get deep with this, and like still make it sound sonically cool while like still tapping into that emotion for
so it was fun.
Crazy.
It was,
these are like huge international stage, you know, obviously like it's so good for people to see that's like there's no limits of where we can put te reo and hear it, and you know how much more we could be sharing, and like everyone could be more, I guess for people like myself, it's just like being surrounded by it more is just like such a, like, I feel like it's so necessary and needed and beautiful and just makes us feel super connected.
Yes.
Like a day-to-day, you know, more day-to-day as,
absolutely. But Rob and Silla, absolutely love them. And Pere, of course, amazing. Always got the vibes. But it was just a lot of learning, and we'd sit out, you know, under the moon, under the East Coast moon. It was like kind of romantic, to be honest.
I wish I was a fly on the wall or a fly on the grass.
A grasshopper.
A grass, like that's the Don't give up.
Yeah, it was so cool and like lots of learning and super humbling experience. And then to be in the studio working alongside Taika's sister, Tweety Waititi, who's an absolute powerhouse, Chelsea Winstanley, you know, is an amazing producer, and other amazing people in the creative space doing things and going places and taking our real places it hasn't been before, you know, like unprecedented kind of
in history.
Yeah, it is.
Like
it really is.
Just on that note, though, like, what would you, if there's people I'm sure who want to do what you're doing? It's like, what would you like? What would you tell them to do? To like,
I think it starts with and my message would be to young parents, you know, young parents, whether or not you were afforded the language, you know, through kura, through kohanga reo, or just having it in the home, whether or not you had that, you have you can make that conscious decision to want that for your tamariki. It starts at the home and in the education system, which is obviously those two need to be working in cahoots with each other.
yes.
So yes, teachers, the education system working with the community and having the language in the home. And yeah, I just encourage young parents who are having babies to raise their children through the medium of te reo Māori. Even if you're learning yourself, there's no better way to learn than alongside your tamaiti, your baby, because actually you can be learning off each other. Babies pick up things so much quicker. Yes, exactly. So they will then become the kaiako, and that's great. Yeah. That's great because we want our tamariki to be in that driver's seat. We want for the language in every, you know, successive generation to be left better off than the generation before. We cannot afford to go backwards. And so that's where all of our efforts need to be 100%. Exerted. And so, yeah, it starts with that conscious decision, you know, you can do it. And at the micro level, support it at the macro.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think
linked into each other. I feel
absolutely.
Like it's like one thing leads to another kind of.
Yes, it does. Yeah. But I mean, if my parents could do it back in the, you know, 80s and 90s with very limited resources, you know, I'm pretty sure we can, you know,
100%. Like
we can do it these days because look at all the resources out there now.
Especially, I mean, like kids now, I feel like, I don't know, I've noticed with my niece, they just like, they come out real smart. Like even from a really young age and just like watching that, and I'm just like, I just wish when you go to school that you could be learning te reo. It's because you do pick it up by the time they're like 6 years old. Yeah. Fluent. Well, less than that. Yeah. Within a year. I've just watched her like learn 2 languages. She's 2.5.
Wow.
And she's speaking
Beautiful.
2.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just, you know, like I think it starts from schooling as
Absolutely.
Well. Schooling does. And then the kids can bring it home.
And look at those Scandinavian countries, for example. They've got great language, you know, models, language learning models. And yes, it's supported absolutely in schools where they, you know, go through. They start schools. Some children with like, well, definitely being multilingual. Yeah. Some like up to 5 languages. Oh. By the time they start school, like that's mind blowing. It's mind blowing that, you know. In this day and age, the New Zealand education system is producing monoglots. Monoglots is literally, yes, limiting people, limiting their everything.
It's almost like, you know, just why limit like the same effort everyone puts into like no different sports and instruments, like you said, or this and that. It's just like language is one of the most powerful, like, not a big fan of like limiting to one,
you know,
but you're obviously part of like the biggest change that's happening as well, like of just like putting te reo on the international stages and bringing it home through Disney Pixar, you know, and like it's just so, I'm sure that's super inspiring for everyone. And like
it's been an amazing journey. I think the next steps though, because whilst it is important to collaborate with powerhouses such as, you know, Disney and DreamWorks and things like that, I think it's important as Indigenous storytellers for us to have the mana motuhake over our stories and to really claim that space and to be telling our story through our reo, through our lens as well. So there's this, so what I see this is as a platform to where we actually want to be. And it's the same with the Waiata anthem space as well. You know, we're moving away from translation actually and going into collaboration. So with the Lord album, for example, that was,
I was going to ask you about that.
we translated solar power, and that was great. There was lots of learning in there. Ella really loved that she could see that actually the Maori versions of the songs were completely original. She was actually one of the first in the space of translation to recognise this is an original song. It's now not what it was in English.
Yep.
Because of all of the thinking and all of the
translation.
richness. No, so it's not translation at all.
So for those who don't know about Waiata anthems and the work that goes behind it, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So it was a kaupapa that was launched by Hinewehi. She was the visioneer behind that kaupapa. And it was really bringing more reo into the commercial radio space or commercial music space. So the original cast, if you will, of Waiata anthems was the likes of 660 with Kia Mau ki tō Kaipo, the likes of Pikrunga with her, the translation of her Waiata, and then Paige, Muroki, and others who were already cracking it in the sort of mainstream, you know, commercial space, but we were wanting to bring them into the reo Māori space, so as to open up. And going back to that kōrero about the domains where our language is being heard and normalised. And so for our reo, that was a huge sort of breakthrough in terms of bridging the mainstream music world with the Māori music world, because for so long they'd been sitting in these sort of you know, different pockets. And so that was the bridge that brought,
And it made sense.
Like
you don't. You're like, oh, this is crazy.
Yeah, no, it was cool. And it was fun. It was really fun translating well-known songs, you know, songs like Kia Mau ki tō Kaipo. That was done by Timoti. Timoti is the absolute, well, he's our kaiako, he's like the Yoda in the Maori linguistic world, well, in the Maori world in general, really. So we were so lucky to have been taught by the master himself, and he has been heavily involved in this kaupapa with translating songs and giving us the blueprint, really, to you know, setting that bar for us to aspire to.
Do you think there's a lot, like, when you're working, is there a lot of, like, needing to, like, research and you know, just for people who are, like, wanting to get into the space and do this work, like, is there a lot of listening and
Absolutely.
Research? How much? What's that like between that and the actual?
Yeah, it requires a lot of ongoing research and upskilling. So for the longest time, and even now, I continue my learning journey of te reo Māori, a way to that really kind of elevated the kaunga, or the quality of my, not only my spoken reo, but also my, you know, ability to translate, and my grammar skills as well. That all came about through the kura reo, which is a kaupapa that Timoti himself started.
Okay,
and they are like intensive learning camps.
Wow.
And they were originally done they were for teachers of te reo Māori, so that in their holidays they can all be together in a really immersive environment and learn about kiwaha and whakatauki and about grammar and about translation, and to really fine-tune their own skills with teaching the language, because Timoti obviously knew the importance of teachers having good quality language so that they can transfer that to the students. So that was huge for me, that journey. through Kura Reo, which then led to Te Panekiretanga, which is the School of Excellence for the Maori language, which has since, a couple of years back, it's now been put to rest because our masters, our teachers have all retired. So that kaupapa is no longer going, but there's another master's program that has been run for teachers and for others who are wanting to advance their language skills as well. So that's really, really important. So I urge anybody who wants to tamariki tamariki rangatahi, those who are listening and who are inspired to jump into this world, you must haere ki te ako, haere ki te ako i te reo kia tino piki ake te kaunga o tō reo. So basically go and pursue the language formally. I think it's not enough to just rest on our laurels and say, well, I went to kohanga, so I can translate this.
No, it's a big job. No.
Yeah.
You gotta do it right.
You need to be ongoing with your research. You need to be keeping yourself up to date with all the latest, lingo in te reo Māori, all the latest kiwaha and
I wondered about that as well, the like lingo and the change in,
yes,
like in I guess in some of the some of the work that you do, some of it might be like more on the casual side, some more formal, so you have to have a good big scope of everything.
You have to have a good scope of everything, and as I said, it's really important to keep yourself updated, and so the learning journey is never ending. Very, very important, because without that, I don't think you can do the mahi, justice.
No.
So yeah,
like in everything, like everything, you have to put in hard work. You gotta do, put in your hours. Like nothing comes easy, and I think
that's right.
But at the end of it, it's really rewarding, and you enjoy it, and I think people will see this and they're inspired, and to go and do it. It's still gonna be hard work.
It's a lot of hard work.
It's rewarding, and
it is.
Yeah,
and so you got to be, a little bit passionate, a little bit crazy, a little bit, a little bit all those things.
And obviously, music and poetry and those things were
Yes, I think.
What was your kind of journey with
music?
Music, poetry, just your your understanding in music and poetry, words and in a more creative creative space.
Well, I did piano lessons for 6 or 7 years of my life, so I was actually quite lucky to have the basic understanding of how to read music and how to play an instrument, and then at high school picked up the guitar. So that was sort of that's my musical sort of tuapapa or foundation, and then of course language and music, they're just married, they're just a match made in heaven. They are one in the same for me.
Both are trying to express.
Yes, they really are. And yes, exactly. They are both languages in their own right, but they're languages that sit beautifully together, especially te reo Māori and music. They're literally my two passions. So I think it was just a mixture of studying the language and continuing to study the language. I'm now teaching the language as well as studying it, as well as working in this space, in this creative space, because I think this is where I get to express myself in ways that I can't do in formal settings when I'm, teaching grammar and things like that. That's all good, but working in the music space, I get to express myself.
Be creative and just another whole another dimension.
It's really important. You have to have
freedom.
A creative, expression.
I think it's the freedom that comes with creativity, and that's where language can evolve. I think those two things can go hand in hand. Absolutely. Expression and
Yes.
Why is it important to write songs in te reo?
Yeah, well, I think of back in the if we look at the original goats of because with Waiata anthems and the whole translation space, if we go back to rewind back to I think it was around the Second World War, they had radios here, and Maori language was then introduced to a whole other world of music. So we kind of transitioned from more traditional sound to worldly sounds. So a lot of the Italian, pop songs of the day, because a lot of our soldiers spend time over there and learning Italian songs and bringing tunes back. So not only did our battalion bring songs back and tunes back, but also having radios exposed our worlds. And so I'm just going to preface my kōrero on this and the importance of so the original our mai tupuna, who were and I think of the likes of Tāpira Nangata, Ngoi Pe Whairangi and Tuini Ngā Wai, and the likes of all of the composers that we actually researched for the Aotearoa songbook, which that they were the masters of the language. They were the to me the OG translators, because they took that world music and they made the timeless classics. That is, Tūtira Mai Ngā Iwi and Pā Mai and all of those, those oldie goldie songs. So basically, that was revolutionary, right? That was revolutionary, taking world music and bringing it to our reo. And so, and then having that as a resource, as a legacy, as a musical and oral legacy to hand down for the successive generations to be able to sing on the matatini stage, at parties or whatever. That is just literally woven now into the fabric of our musical heritage in this whenua. And so going back to your pātai, why is it so important to write in te reo Māori? Well, it's to continue that legacy. It's to continue the reclamation of language, after all of those years of the language being lost in our homes and in our communities. This space is a way to reclaim that, is to reverse the effects of language loss. So that's number one, and to also just contribute to the wider beauty of waiata that are already out there, and to ensure that that is continued into our future for our tamariki to inherit and for them to...
Music lives forever.
Yeah, well, exactly. So, it's important to write. And this is why I'm a huge advocate of, whilst, the translation is all cool, but that's like a segue, right? It's a segue into what we really want, and what we really want is to have tamariki come out of an education system where they have the skills to write in both languages, English and Maori, and that they're strong and competent in those languages as well, and can actually transfer the skills of working from one language to another, and also transfer the world views as well in their minds. So be able to think in one language and be able to think in another, and to be able to do that with ease. So I hope that answers the question.
Definitely, because I think like music is such a, I don't know, in certain countries, like nations are scared of music because of how powerful it is, and because the messages and music lasts for so long.
Yeah.
And I think
it's timeless.
It's timeless, and some countries, like, I mean, speaking from like my own experiences, like, are against music. Like, music is pretty much like banned in Iran at certain degrees, but that's because how important it is,
how powerful it is.
So I fully understand like what you're trying to say is that the once it lives, it started. And now it's about like continuing it, and there could be like different genres as well.
Yes.
Which there are, and that will always forever live, and it could be political, it could be
Absolutely.
and that's where the power of music is, and it will forever tell a story, forever live in history. No
Yes.
one can take that away, and no one can like change that. And I think that's why people are scared of music.
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's a snapshot of the consciousness of the time in which that waiata is composed. So when we learn the waiata that our ancestors composed, that is a window into their world.
It's their soundtrack.
Into their thinking. It's their
I call
the soundtrack
music
of
soundtrack.
our whakapapa.
Take it back to the individual, like you writing music, me writing music. That's the soundtrack to my life, of those different events in my life. Now taking that with like songs that are a nation's song, like that go out into the world, that's a timestamp of
exactly
the world's time.
Yes.
And it's just like, I think it's just so powerful. And we do look at it as like, it's music, it's creative, it's creative, it's fun, it's music.
Yeah.
But it's so needed, especially in Te Reo, and like having those waiatas out there, like they're all like forever living.
Absolutely.
And then like 1,000 years.
Our babies will still be singing those, those waiata and creating
Can you imagine
new
what's
waiata.
there, and like just because it has started, that means there's no stopping,
Yeah.
Just like in 500 years and 600 years, like the importance of it now. I think it's like it's been the harder time, but in the blimp of timeline,
yes,
when it is like just wider, bigger, and like it's just kind of like other music and other language that have been around for a long time.
Yes.
It evolves and remixes and sampled, and that whole sampling culture, and like I think that's gonna be crazy to see that. Like
I know,
and that's exciting.
Well,
that's so exciting.
Yeah, well, look at the Aotearoa songbook that was done. That was a whole lot of classic songs that were basically, I wouldn't say rehashed, but sung by peeps today, sort of thing. Like, just imagine, I often think what our tupuna would, like, they'd probably buzz out, go, oh my gosh,
they'll look back
look at my mokopuna. I'm like, and so that's the kind of thinking that we have, that we need to be forever thinking about, our mokopuna. Yeah. What is the legacy that we're going to leave for them? And through music, through the research and the resurgence of all of our classic traditional waiata, through kapahaka. Kapahaka is a very powerful medium for passing on language, passing on cultural values, passing on tikanga, and passing on waiata. And everything that comes with that. So that's super, super important, but simultaneous to that, to that research and to ensuring that all of that knowledge is preserved, is adding to the kete of knowledge through composing waiata in the medium of Te Reo Māori, going back to study how our ancestors, some of their key features, how they wrote, and some of the things that they were actually thinking about and writing about in their time, and
why
the way
they
why did they write like that? How like it buzzes me out the way they express themselves around issues that we encounter today, like politics, like love, like.
It's been said over and over and over again, and it's just like, the language might change in terms of like our lingo and like the ideas are there, but the ideas are there, and they're gonna keep being said.
But here's the thing. The way those ideas are expressed changes over time, and especially now in this post-colonial context that we live in, and being so close with English speakers and English culture, and not only English, we've got the world here now,
multicultural,
which is fabulous. But how does that influence our language? How does that influence our tikanga? How does that influence?
Because it's easier to lose it when there is, got obviously the multicultural thing, which is great, but it's just like more than ever now, it's important to be like louder and like
absolutely prouder,
mainstream, prouder in schools. Like all those things have to happen even more now, more than before,
more than ever now. Yeah, I mean, look at what's happening in the world. Our tamariki, if they are keen to jump into this space, and I urge, our tamariki, our rangatahi, kia kaha koutou, ki te ako I te reo, ki te kōrero I te reo, ia rā. I think it's very important, going back to that kōrero, about keeping yourself relevant in terms of your study. So having a formalised, but also it's not just about the studying and the formalisation of language, but also being active in your community, on your marae, and being part of lots of different kaupapa where the language flows, and just creating spaces for our language to exist and to thrive as well, I think is really important.
Thriving is the most important thing as well. It's just like now having that space to also experiment.
Yes.
And grow, and like, it's exciting, it's fun. It's like, a lot of like, when people hear like research or say, it's like, no, but there's so much more. It's like creativity, and like there's ways of keeping language alive as humans have for
millennia,
forever. Like, I think again that just goes back to like those creative spaces, music combined with obviously research and hard work, and knowing where it can, like knowing the history and the proper ways of things, and then things are going to also be evolving and like, again, I can't wait to, like, in 500 years not going to be here,
to
but
see where,
man, like, can you imagine like
where things go and what trajectory things head in? But we're very powerful in the now, in what we do to create that future. Now is
like the most important, like,
it's what we have control over, But for our tamariki, I just want to go back to that kōrero about, if you are wanting to jump into this space, I would recommend actually starting with, in small spaces, with whānau, going back to, even if it's going back to the marae, or having a wānanga with your own kazies, taking a guitar along, surely there'll be somebody that has got stories to tell. We've all got stories to tell.
Yeah.
Start brainstorming all of those stories and put them down in word form, and put it to music. Because what better legacy than a waiata, for your whānau, for your hapu as well. So I really want to actually go back into the grassroots space, and work with my kazies in that, and have whānau wānanga, and just be like, who's keen to jump on we could be a whole bunch of novices. It doesn't really matter. It's just, whoever's keen to do it,
back to
and
jamming.
to learn, open to learning.
Yeah.
Then keen to jam. No mai hara mai. Even if kei te ako tonu koe te reo, still learning te reo, sweet as. Bring your Wiremu dictionary, bring your Te Aka dictionary, bring all your puka puka. We can sort it out. So it's about creating spaces for ourselves.
I know the power of jams.
Yeah. There's a huge power.
A lot of times,
it
takes that one jam, and that person is like future best artist, or like, and they're like, that's where it all begins. It's just like, you might not be as good in your instrument or in the language. So it's just like, all great things start from just that casual hang jam.
Yeah.
And like
creating that energy, that vibe,
a
good vibe, a good wānanga space. That is safe, that's open, minded, open-hearted, and that's centred around learning and creating, just being free to create without inhibitions, without restrictions, because that's what is often one of the barriers. And sometimes we're our own barrier. We're our own psychological barrier a lot of the time. So I just urge you, wetiki nei rā momo, kauparetia e rā momo, hara, e rā momo mau kino I roto I a tātou anō, kia umai ko te wairua auaha I ngā wā katoa. So it's just about releasing, those things that kind of cloud us or kind of restrict our creativity, and just being free to,
before you can connect.
Yeah, and being brave too, to take that step. Like, if you haven't ever written a song in te reo Māori.
Or ever written a song?
Yeah, or have written a song, period. Yeah, just mahia.
Yeah.
Tūwhitia te hopo. That's a good whakatauki. That's Te Wharehuia Milroi whakatauki, which means feel the fear and do it anyway. Yeah, just go hard. Because that's what we're going to be needing. All hands on deck, and really fostering and harnessing the creativity that we've got out in our communities. Our tamariki are super talented.
Oh.
I see it all over social media, and I'm going, holy moly. So,
good hands.
Yeah, we are. I think we're in great hands. The future is really safe with the rangatahi that we have, because they are just absolutely mind-blowingly amazing. So what I want to do in my years moving forward is I want to create more spaces, like have more camps and things like that, where our tamariki, fresh out of high school really, can jump in and sit alongside some of our industry, goats, the likes of Paige and just to be mentored alongside,
the camps
ones
are
that
so
have
important.
got all the experience. Yeah.
And the camps are so important, and also, like we were talking about this earlier as well, with like competitions at school, Play It Strange, submit your song. You're not restricted to a language.
Exactly.
And I like that's the other thing, just expressive and use all those competitions and camps and find just I think that's where that's how it began for me, and like music just began by firstly trying to reconnect with my language, otherwise I wouldn't know it. So that was the power of music for me, and then having the camps and the feeling comfortable and enough to like
to
share
take
your
that
music
step.
in another,
It can be daunting, eh?
Yeah, it can be, but just I think it's so important.
Yeah. Hugely important. How did you overcome some of those how did you overcome some of those inhibitions to really get in there and just do it?
For me, to just go and do it, for me it was just like, I don't know, because like culture and language wasn't a cool thing, obviously, like 20 years 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I was here for, when we first moved here, for the first few years, and I realized, I was like, oh, I'm forgetting my language. I couldn't, like, my mind would like blank out. I couldn't speak, and I was just like, oh, it's not just losing a language, it's losing a culture.
Yeah.
It's losing like the relationship I have with my family. With just
another lens.
My grandma, you're gonna call it, and that was, I was like, I'm gonna listen to more Persian music, and then started listening to more, started writing, was doing poetry, and then I was just like, you know what? Yeah, language is not cool, culture is not cool. I'm still gonna write it, and I'm gonna write it, and it was real shit. It was real bad, but it was just like, it was something, something to start, and I would like shamelessly do it and submit it for like, even like Play It Strange. It was like, I don't think there was anyone submitting another language, or even at school. It's like, oh, she's so like, but I had to push through all that, people around you being like, ugh, like, and that thing of just like, that's not cool, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But I was like, it's either this or I lose my mother's tongue, like the
it's
I think
funny.
that's the power of music, is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And then now it's a career for me.
And the power of language,
Originally it was for that, but now it's, that's the thing that could become the camps and the competitions and things like that could become your future.
Yeah.
And it could be more meaningful than just music. It could be a language, it could be a culture, it could be like keeping that alive and like passing that down. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us your time, and like, it's just amazing.
Tēnā koe, tēnā koutou. Yeah, thank you for listening to my round the world yarns.
Oh my God, no, it's so good.
Round the loop yarns.
I would love to continue chatting, but
Ka pai.
yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, no, kia ora.
Thank you.
Oh.
Kia ora, thank you.